So ADF Easy by Aaron, and we'll be switching over to that audio in just a sec. Okay, we should be live on your audio now. Take it away.
Alright. Well, hello everyone, I'm Aaron. Gonna be doing ADF, new game, easy, God Ascending. So this is the no DLC route, although I have the 2 extra difficulties, but they obviously don't matter in the run. Well then, which are we choosing?
For voices, it is Japanese still by quite a large margin, I believe.
Alright. Well, gonna start the countdown now. So,
Alright, let me just type out bit. Oh, let me just type out bit start. Okay, it's ready, so go when you're ready.
3, 2, 1, go. So, after escaping a few cutscenes, we're gonna have a tutorial fight against 2 guards. Very easy fight, so impossible to lose here. We're just gonna take them both out using one skill. And we are thrown into the first dungeon of the game, which is the jail. To escape from this dungeon, we need to get a few keys in order to open the doors. And to do that, we have to defeat specific guards that have like a blue outfit. We're gonna have to do a series of battles. So I need to be mindful of my SP to be able to finish the fights quickly. For the rest of the fights, I'm just gonna spam fireballs because it's cheap. And if damage is high enough to one-shot the guards, I'm gonna pick up that potion for safety. I'll open this door, and while the animation of the door is going, I'll dash to the other side, open that cell, and get the next key. Again, same strategy, with fireballs. And now we're gonna get the 2 energy shards here, which are the SP items of this game. I'm gonna open this door. And while the door is being opened, we're gonna fight one last guard. This fight has 3 enemies. We're gonna fireball the captain, and then we're gonna kill the last 2 enemies using shooting slash. And now we have all the keys that we need in order to leave the dungeon. So yes, I'm gonna dash forward, open this door. Again, I'm gonna pick up this potion. This one. This potion for safety, just in case I need it against the boss in Tirana. We have an unwinnable fight now.
They're asking you to either turn down the game slightly or speak a little louder. Nothing too big, but just a tiny amount.
Is it better now?
Well, we'll have to wait to check delay, but yeah, just keep going.
Another 4th fight, we just spam skills twice and win the fight. Nothing too complicated yet. Now we're going to the next dungeon, which is the Soul Plains. We don't really need to pick up anything here, so we're just gonna dash through. So I'll take the chance to explain what are inactive enemies. As you can see, on the minimap there are 2 types of enemies, those who have a red icon and those who have a yellow icon. The enemies that have a yellow icon will not chase you, even if you move right in front of them, but if you bump into them, you'll still get the encounter. But they are still easier to avoid than the regular enemies. Here we are introduced to Goldie Revival, which allows us to take fairies and use them to unlock dungeons, and they also have effects on those dungeons. So we have a fight against 3 birds. We got the good formation, which allows us to get back attacks and guarantee that we can kill them with one skill, because as you can see, if you use a skill from the front, it's a range whether you kill it, you kill the bird or not. So some more tutorials here. And we are off to the next dungeon, which is Kravise Cave. This dungeon is rather long, and we need to pick one extra item later on. And for now we are just gonna focus on dodging all the encounters. As you can see, dashing is the fastest way to move in this game, even though it's rather hard to control and it's easy to bump into enemies using it. So it takes a bit of practice to be able to dodge enemies consistently. But even if you get a few extra encounters, it's still a lot more worth it to just dash through the dungeons instead of walking normally. So this is the optional path I was talking about. We're gonna pick the first chest that has a few energy shards, because we'll need them for our boss later on. Another good thing about this game is that in order to make a checkpoint, you don't need to save the game, you just need to walk over the save point. So here we have a new boss fight against Herfrol. She has a chance of pulling out a super strong move and killing Tiara if she's under 800 HP, so I'm just gonna play it safe and heal her. Because since we don't buy revival items until the second half of the run, we need to be really mindful of the EXP that both Tiara and Fang get, because they need to get a few skills that are really important for the route as soon as possible. So for this dungeon I'm gonna take that extra chest on the left, which gives us 2 Cherub's Feathers, which are the revival items in this game. In a normal any percent run you will just skip them, but since this is a marathon run I'm just gonna play it safe. I don't want to take many chances. Once again, walking over the save point to set a checkpoint and have a new boss fight. So here we will use an AoE with Tiara to kill both of the minions. These are range, but if you don't get the range you can just finish them off with Fang and spam skills now in order to just finish off the boss. Once again we go back to town, watch a few cutscenes, use our Fairy that gives extra EXP and makes both enemies and allies have a minus 10% physical defense. That plus 30% EXP is very important though, so we're gonna use that on most dungeons, at least on the first half. We're gonna pick up this extra item. It gives us money, a return week, which we will need to leave a dungeon later on, and a bronze gauntlet that raises our physical defense. So it's overall a very good chest to get, and it's not too far out of the way. This is no DLC indeed. But this is an unwinnable fight, we're just gonna spam guard until the cutscene appears. And that's the dungeon. Now we go into Kiranar, but first we're gonna do a small menu. We are going to invest in Fang's Fury Form, which gives him bonus stats when he's transformed, kinda like the CPUs on the Neptunia games. One force fight here, we got an unlucky range so that enemy didn't die. We're gonna dash backwards, leave the dungeon and re-enter, because that way we will get all of our SP back without having to waste an item. Just gonna dash through, make sure to not dash into those pitfalls there. So one thing about the bosses in this game is that many of them can pull out a super strong move, usually an AoE, when they go under a certain threshold of HP. So a big chunk of the route, especially in the first half, is focused on avoiding that. We will see that with Fenke later on. So this is the Ganada Mother. We are gonna use 2 AoEs to finish off the minion and also damage the boss. Tiara is basically gonna be bait. The boss will always focus Tiara no matter what, as long as she is alive obviously. So she's just gonna stall by healing while Fang is attacking from behind. I'm gonna intentionally stay over 250 SP with Tiara, so I can use the EXE to call it like that with her on the next turn. And we finish off the fight without much trouble, luckily. If you fail that to kill her, she will probably kill Tiara, and then you'll have to redo the fight. Short menu here after a new party member joins. We're gonna learn a few magic spells. We're gonna give Harley a Fairy, and we're gonna go into Shukesco's Tower. Shukesco's Tower has a series of consecutive fights. So for this one we're gonna spam skills with Harley and Tiara, and just gonna use combos with Fang. because the rest of the fights are done using only Fang in the party, so we want to save his SP as much as possible. And that's the first fight. We're gonna have to skip a bunch of cutscenes. For this fight, we're gonna use the EOE magic spells that we just got from weapon points. We're gonna defend with Fang. Tiara got confused there, which is kinda problematic because it makes the fight slower. I'm gonna give Fang a potion since he had to tank extra hits. Now we are going to learn Flame Assault, which is one of the best physical skills in the game. It hits for 9 times if I remember correctly. So it deals a lot of damage and also raises the tension gauge a lot. And we are also introduced to Serious Phase, which is a skill that you can activate with Fang that makes his attack deal more damage, but he has an extra SP cost on all of his skills. And we number 5, we're just gonna spam guard, and this is the actual fight. But we're gonna Flame Assault from behind, Terrorize, activate Serious Phase. We're gonna shoot in a slash, and we're just gonna finish off the fight using a combo. Here we unlock similar skills more for other party members. We'll use Tiaras, which is forming a barrier later on in the run, on the second half. So once again, a series of consecutive fights using only Fang. So we're gonna use Flame Assault from behind to guarantee that we can hit most of the 9 hits of the skill. That way we can Fair Ice on the next turn, and thanks to the bonuses that we invested on earlier and the new combo, we should be able to finish most of the fight without much trouble. This soldier is weak to swords, so he takes extra damage and dies quicker, even when he has more HP. And this last mob, he can actually deal a decent amount of damage if he crits. He can deal up to like 500 damage, so I'm gonna potion, there's a potion there to be sure. And that's it. Now Tiara is alone on this dungeon, so we really need to focus on dodging all the encounters, because the encounter rate at the escape rate at the start of the game is kinda terrible. So if we get an encounter here with only Tiara, we will most likely die and get teleported back to the entrance of the dungeon. We can touch the save point for safety. And we have 2 boss fights in a row. First we're gonna fight Galdo, which is a free fight, we're just gonna Flame Assault, Fair Ice and use Burning Strike from behind. We have an unwinnable fight against Tenke here, and we have to do some menuing now. So we're gonna invest on Super Serious Phase, which makes Serious Phase deal more damage. And on Tiara we are gonna get one of her combo skills in order to be able to learn Gaia Spear, which is one of her best physical skills. I'm gonna give everyone their fairies so they get bonus damage. And for Senke, that was a bad opener. I'm gonna heal Fang, attack with Harley from this side, use Flame Assault from behind. Now with Tiara, we are gonna give Fang an energy shard. That was unfortunate, that's an unlucky way to die on a normal run. And since we invested on some fragments, we picked up an extra chest there. We can continue and try to save the fight somehow, which we did. Kind of a time loss, but it's okay, we didn't die. We're gonna unlock the next dungeon, which is the Boy Valley, but now we are gonna invest in some skills with our new character, which is Caldo. We're gonna give him Reed, so it levels up, and move Tiara to the back row. So the next boss fight is against Ethel, but the thing with Ethel is that she will always target Tiara. Always. So we are basically going to use Tiara's bait, once again, like we did with the boss in Kioner. And then we are going to try to burst her down before she goes under 1 health bar of HP, because then she can pull out a nuke and one-shot Tiara, which is not good at all. So let's see how this fight goes. We're gonna heal with Tiara. Use physical skill with Taldo. Use a physical skill from behind to build tension. That's a very good amount of damage. I'm gonna Terrorize and seriously Fang. I'm gonna give Fang an energy charge so he can burn himself. And now I'm going to wait until I get a favorable turn order, like now. Putting strike from behind and hardly finishes off the fight. One good thing about physical skills, single target physical skills in this game is that if they inflict knockback, they will make whoever was attacked face directly towards the person who used the skill. So we can use that to set up in a way where Fang can always get the damage multipliers and the accuracy multipliers from attacking from behind, which makes most of these fights rather consistent. Although, as you saw with Fenke, the game can always find a way to screw you over. So we have a boss fight here. We are forced to lose this one. So as usual, we're just gonna spam guard. A new character joins, which is Sherman. So we are going to invest on physical damage and on magic damage. And I messed that up, but it's fine. I can just recover after this fight with the weapon points. So Sherman's active skill is pretty much the same as Fang's. He gets extra bonus damage at the cost of higher SP costs for all of his skills. But the damage is high enough to basically be able to destroy a Polonius. And we are going to use the return with that we picked up in like the third dungeon of the game. A bunch of unskippable cutscenes here. We get a new character. And Sherman leaves the party. So we now unlock the subterranean tower, which is one of the most annoying dungeons to go through on speedrunning Go Descending, because it has a lot of narrow corridors and you can get encounters very easily. If you run New Game Plus, most of your runs will die here. And if you get killed when you are close to the end of the dungeon, you lose a ton of time because the dungeon is huge. He saw me when jumping down, which is unfortunate. So this is the third encounter we take on the run. I'm gonna try to escape. I'm not going to heal, because if I take too many encounters and my HP is low enough, Bernard will kill me, which will make that unskippable fight end faster, even though you already lost a bunch of time by getting encounters, but in the end of the day, any time save is good. This enemy is inactive, so we don't have to worry about him. There was a bad shark spawn, we can dodge him using a few dashes. We got very good energy on this floor. That bird that spawned on the right can spawn right where I jump down, so you can get that encounter pretty much instantly if you get unlucky enough. But luckily it didn't happen to us, so we're good for now. Another unwinnable fight here. We're gonna defend twice, skip the dialogue, and then keep guarding until the fight is over or we get wiped. So Sherman joins the party again. And we have to skip a bunch of tutorials here. We're gonna go into the inn and once again go into Goldie Revival. We're gonna do one menu here with Pipil, the newest character that we got. gonna invest on magic. We're gonna give Sherman the Navy Fairy, so he levels it up. And we're gonna give both Tiara and Galdo learning. What learning does is that it makes your character get EXP even when they are not fighting. So it's a very useful passive to get. I forgot to get a decent AoE skill with Sherman, so this might be a little slow. These enemies all have a chance to confuse your party members, so if you get confused a lot, the fight can drag for very long. So far only Sherman got confused, which is good. Oh, Fang got confused as well. And they both recovered at the same time, so just finish the fight. So the fairy that we extracted makes both allies and enemies deal twice the amount of damage. So it makes fights a lot faster, but it also makes them a lot riskier. I'm gonna sell materials and stuff we don't really need. And I'm going to buy 30 energy shards, a return wing, because we'll need it for the future. And we're going to synthesize energy crystals and spend the rest of our money buying 20 high potions. Now we're going to unlock the next dungeon using both fairies, so we get extra EXP. And we deal both twice the amount of damage, but the enemies will deal twice the amount of damage. I'm going to remove Galdo from the party, and I'm gonna give Sherman the skill that is missing. Doesn't seem like I have enough. No, I don't have enough. That weapon points, which is fine, I can just use holster. And the reason why I removed half of my party is because in this game, for some weird reason, the fewer party members you have, the more turns the game gives you, kinda to compensate the fact that you only have 3 active party members. So that can be abused using Fang and Sherman, since they deal an insane amount of damage for this point of the game. We picked an optional chest, which is armor for Fang. We'll need it to survive a few 1v1s later on. I'm gonna use Galdo's magic to heal before going to the next boss fight, which is right here. So same strategy. Sherman is gonna use Justice, which is his equivalent of Serious Phase, and then both Pippin and Fang are gonna use a skill. I'm going to heal one last time. And I'm going to use 2 energy crystals to recover Sherman and Fang's SP, because now we have 2 boss fights in a row that we actually have to win. That robot is giving me a bad pattern, but it's okay. So same thing, I'm gonna give Fang a potion just to make sure that he's not going to die on the next fight against Bernard, because he can use that AoE on the first turn, and he can one-shot you if you're not max HP. So now we use 2 skills. It's fine that he survived because the mid-fight dialogue got triggered, which means that he won't act on that turn, although that's not supposed to happen. We're gonna leave this dungeon and use both the twice damage times 2 and the increased EXP bonus fairies, so we can finish the next and last boss fight of the first half of the game. It's an unfortunate encounter to get, but it should be okay. Might take a few tries though. I'm just gonna open the menu one more time to heal with Galdo. Patch a save point for safety as usual. And we're gonna face off Mariana and Sagi. So we're gonna start the fight by using Justice and using Flame Assault to get rid of Sagi if we don't get a bad damage range, but it's okay. Now Fang is going to terrorize and use Serious Phase. He's gonna go for the Burning Strike from behind, and now Sherman is able to finish the fight without much trouble. And due to story reasons, we went back in time, and we went basically back at the start of the game. But now the chests are different, they have different stuff, and the enemies are also stronger, and also all the boss fights are, or most of the boss fights are different as well. It's all playing same thing as earlier. We're just gonna dash to the event point and one-shot the Hoodlum using Flame Assault. Here we meet Tiara once again, and we are going back to Kravisa. We're gonna do a menu before though. We're gonna get the best magic spell in the game, which is Maelstrom. Maelstrom is an AoE water spell that costs 300 SP, but hits every single enemy on the battlefield, regardless of where they are. And if Tiara is facing backwards, Maelstrom will get the bonus damage of attacking from behind for some reason. So it's basically free damage. This time we are not gonna take the same detour that we took in the first timeline. We're just gonna go straight to the boss fight. Alright, so once again we are fighting Ethel. This time what we are going to do is we are going to use Maelstrom, and since it has knockback, it's going to make Ethel face Tiara, so Fang can get bonus damage and basically finish the fight in just 2 turns. Alright, so for this dungeon I'm gonna intentionally take an extra encounter, because if Fang took all the XP that he needs from all the boss fights on the first timeline, he should be 212 EXP away from leveling up, which he just did. So now we're gonna get Explosion, which is a very useful magic spell, and the extra 100 something HP that he gets by leveling up will allow us to make the next boss fight a bit safer. So the next boss fight is the first of the 3 major RNG bosses in this game. We have to rely on the enemy boss getting a low damage range on Fang, and we have to rely that Fang can get the 2-turn kill, which doesn't always happen. So we are going to heal. He did a low damage roll, so I'm gonna use Serious Phase. I'm gonna heal now. And on this double turn I'm gonna Flame Assault from the side. I'm gonna go for the kill, and luckily we got the range, so that's 1 out of 3 dangerous bosses done. Once again, we are gonna go into Goldie Revival one last time. We're gonna swap around Fang and Tiara again, and we are gonna give them the Fairies that they are going to start using from now on. I'm gonna take out a Fairy from the Vile God, which you are not supposed to do, but you will only get locked into the Vile God route if you take out more than, I think it was 6 of them. So since we are already taking out 1, we'll just get a warning from Tiara and Erin, and that's all it is really. We're gonna get fire support with Fang's Fairy to give him extra damage. All these fights are over by just spamming Maelstrom and explosions. Nothing too interesting about them. And the next 2, we are gonna get them because they give a bonus to magic damage and a debuff to physical damage, because for the rest of the route we are mostly going to use magic damage. And that's the last time we're going to step into Goldie Revival unless I misclick at some point, which isn't rare. We're going to unlock this dungeon with all of the fairies that we have. So now we have a 20% buff on magic damage, a minus 20% debuff on physical damage, we get extra EXP, deal and take twice the amount of damage, and we also have reduced physical defense. I picked that chest again. This time it has money and an ether, but it's always good to have. We need the money for a shop like that. This is the second of the RNG boss fights. This first part is unwinnable, but we need to finish at max HP, because otherwise you'll start the second phase with 1 health. The turn order got a bit messy here, so I'm gonna have to improvise. We're gonna use full revive with Tiara, use explosion with Fang. We're gonna use a backwards Maelstrom, and we're gonna go for the explosion kill, which sadly we didn't get. So let's see how I'm gonna do this. Actually, I'm just gonna go for the kill without Fang, since he already has explosion. We should be fine, although I may have to give up on doing damage times 2 Senke. We'll unlock the next dungeon using only Kunes and Sylph, because we have to use physical for this fight. And since Fang died, who was the leader, whoever was on slot 2 got assigned as a leader. So now we're just gonna be dashing around with Tiara. I'll touch the checkpoint here. That's not a good spawn. We are once again gonna fight Apollonius, just in case anyone was missing him. This is the second to last time that we fight him, and the fight is basically the same thing as it was in the last few times. Was gonna buff Fang and have him deal like half of his HP in one hit. I'm gonna use the return wind that we bought later with Mira. Now I'm going to only unlock this dungeon using Kunes and Sylph. Usually you will use Sail as well, but since I missed the EXP with Fang, and I'm not sure if his Fairy has fire protection or not, I'm just gonna play it safe. The fight is gonna be slightly longer, but as long as I don't die, I'll take it. I'm gonna pick these 2 mid potions here, just in case. I can save some high potions, and I can spend the extra money buying Sheriff Feathers or something. Or more SP items, because I need to compensate for the extra item or 2 that I'm going to waste by not using the other Fairy that buffs magic attack. Okay, that was dangerous. He saw me backwards, some weird reason. I don't know. I got the wood opener on this fight. It sometimes can use an AoE that will one-shot Tiara, because Tiara is weak to fire. So here with Fang is basically just going to tank, while Tiara is dealing all the damage. But if Fang is an extra turn, I'm just going to use Explosion or whatever skill I have. Basically, Fang needs to be over 2600 HP after every turn, so sometimes I can just use a regular potion or a high potion. Actually, I'm gonna take the risk. Okay, that went well. The last fight against Apollonius, it's literally the same thing as the previous time we fought him like 2 minutes ago. And that's it. Oops, I went into the canyon again accidentally. I'm still gonna try this, I'm not sure if it's going to work. If it doesn't, I'll just leave the dungeon and do it without the damage times 2 fairy. Although I think we should be able to do it, because Tank has 3300 HP, which is the amount of HP that he's supposed to have by this point of the game. We have a first fight against a Hold'em, and we're just going to instantly finish. And now for this fight, we need to pray. We got to high damage rolls. I'm gonna try once again. If I don't get it, I'll just leave the dungeon, remove the damage times 2 fairy, and just do the fight slowly. Okay, that was a good damage roll. Alright, we managed to survive. I'm gonna use Ultra Potion, activate Serious Phase. I'm gonna have to heal. We're going for the Flame Assault. Gonna heal again. And he crit. Oh well. I'm going to invest some weapon points in Fang. I'm going to get Backdraft, which is basically a Return Weak, but a magic version. I'm going to remove this fairy and go in again. As you can see, he doesn't deal almost any damage now, but this fight is going to take a while. So actually I'm gonna use super old stats here. I'm gonna guard break him, so he takes extra damage. And then I'll just go for and try and burst him down. That's the break. And a Flame Assault. I'm not gonna kill him with the Burning Strikes, I'm just going to heal. And that's Tenke too, using super obsolete strats, because I messed up the route. We are short on money, so we are going to quickly sell this Dewdrop of Salvation, since we don't really need it. And we are still low, by 1000. So we're gonna sell some materials. We got some expensive ones, that's not too common. And now we're going to give the party members that just joined again their respective fairies. You're gonna get Navy, and you're gonna get Sigurd. So now we're going for Bowie Valley. We're going to unlock it using Kunz and Seal, because we're gonna go physical for the next fight against Death, which is also the last fight against them. So you just saw that I bumped into an enemy, but I didn't get the encounter. That's because the PS4 had a slow load. When you enter a dungeon, the PS4 can either load the enemy super fast, which will have given me an encounter there, or it can load the enemies like somewhat slow, like it did now, so I could dash, bump into the enemy and dash away before the console finished loading the actual enemy. So we avoided an encounter. So for this fight with Ethel, we are going to use Barrier with Tiara, which makes her super tanky, but she can't do anything else. Like the only thing that she can do is guard. So we are just gonna deal damage, build some tension with Fang. Tiara died there, which was kinda my bad, but it's okay, we're gonna Barrier again. It's a high potion. And we're gonna go for the kill. As you can see, that Fang's damage output is insanely high with all of the multipliers that he has. Now we're going to sell a bunch of armor that we don't really need. And the assassin hoodie that we get when Ethel joins, that sells for like 20k. And I'm going to buy 30 energy shards. And I'm going to synthesize them into 10 energy crystals. And I'm also going to buy 5 cherub feathers, which I didn't do before and I should have. Because as you can see, the bosses from this point of the game onwards are a bit more likely to kill you than the ones in the first timeline. So, new party member, once again, we just invest in them. Gonna get freezing meteor. We're gonna change the fairy. We're gonna give Ethel Sigurd, which is the fairy that Harley has been leveling, because he has ice boost passives that will increase her damage output. This is the second and last visit to the subterranean tower, although we have a very similar dungeon coming later on. So far we auto lucky spawns, which didn't happen for the third one, so I'm going to dash to the right instead of dashing straight to the cold place. This enemy, it was inactive on the first timeline, but it is an active enemy now, so that's something to keep in mind, because you can get a very dumb encounter if you forget about it. So, oh, that enemy moved away, so we have freeway. And this enemy moved away as well, which is nice. We got another good bird spawn. And we are pretty much at the bottom as well, once again. So, getting to this point on this dungeon takes like 2 minutes, so if you die at the end it's kind of unfortunate. Here we have a boss fight against Pippin. We are just going to spam magic basically. I forgot to invest with with Harley earlier on, so I'm gonna have to remember to do this. For some reason, Pippin is really liking to hit Tiara on this one. But since we bought some items, that's good. We get an ambushed here on the inn, so we have to fight these 3 assassins or whatever. They die real quickly, you just need to hit them with a few AoE skills. I'm gonna buy a few more cherub feathers since I wasted a few of them. I'm gonna invest with Tiara, not Tiara, with Harley, and give her light. I don't mind. That was a safety strat that I can do anything. We unlocked the Cabaret Desert now, which was one of the last dungeons of the previous timeline. The 3 bosses that we fought earlier, we fight all of them at the same time now. So that was very lucky because Tiara was on the wrong position but I still survived. Galdo won't do anything here because his AoE is not strong enough. And Tiara just died because of an ailment, which is unfortunate, I guess. Right, so now I'm going to swap a few characters around. I'm going to move Ethel and Fang to the back. And I'm going to remove the rest of the members. And it's because of the same thing that I mentioned earlier on the first time. Then. Because the game will give us extra turns to compensate for the missing ally. Oof. Slow reaction there, but I still avoided the encounter. I did not avoid this one though. But the good thing is, since Ethel has joined our party officially now, escaping from encounters is gonna be a lot easier because of a very high agility stat. So we leave this dungeon, we go back to the town, and now we are going to go to the Lusamundo Ice Cave. I'm gonna make sure at the start that I have enough SP items and good. So, in this dungeon we're gonna pick up 2 extra items. The first one is this one over here, which gives a bunch of money and an ether. 4,000 gold is huge on this game, so it's very worth to get a chest. These 2 chests are technically optional, but everyone picks them up just because of how useful they are. So theoretically, you can complete the game with picking them up, but it's just a lot more convenient to get both of the chests. Alright, so we have an unwinnable boss fight, starting to notice a pattern here, and then we have the actual boss fight. So we are going to spam wave and heal whoever gets hurt. The problem is that Mariana has a chance to cause confusion, which luckily she didn't, and we could heal to her. So Ethel is gonna attack Mariana directly, while Tiara and Fang are basically going to attack Sagi. Fang died there, which is not that much of a big deal. And he's probably gonna die again, yeah. It's fine. So I'm gonna terrace, I'm gonna heal. Because remember that bosses are doing twice the amount of damage as they should be doing. So these kind of strats are rather dangerous, but very rewarding. So you can see the damage on how fast her HP bar goes down whenever she gets attacked. She's focusing Fang a lot, which is not that common since she usually likes to turn around and try to attack Ethel. Once again, more cutscenes. And we unlock the subterranean tower. Before entering the tower, I'm gonna do a menu here. I'm gonna invest all of my remaining weapon points with Fang on Fury Form, all of Tiara's on Magic, and all of Ethel's in Fury Form. I just noticed that she has points on range. Oh well. Now with Harley, we are gonna get poison, because we need it for the final boss. And I entered the wrong dungeon. Oops. Okay, we're in the correct one now. We are once again gonna go with only 3 characters. And this is basically the same thing as the subterranean tower, but instead of going down, you go up, which is the correct way for a tower, I guess. That enemy is basically in front of the thing. At least it didn't change me. Oof, that was closer than I expected it to be. But as you can see, the dungeon itself is basically the same thing. Except this time you start from the bottom and make your way up. Sometimes, when an enemy is chasing you and you dash, they stop following you, but it's not consistent because sometimes they don't really care and they keep chasing you, and you get encountered if your dash wasn't good enough. So it's not a risk that I want to take no matter how. So I'm playing some of these dodges rather safe, not that one. For example, this one. Alright, we have one more boss fight here coming up, which is the Erin copies. There's 3 of them, and the idea here is to use AoE magic to kill them. So we're gonna use Maestro. I'm gonna create Serious Face with Fang. I'm gonna turn around and use Freezing Meteor with Ethel because she doesn't have an AoE magic skill. We're gonna use Explosion and one last Maelstrom to finish off the fight. Skipping a bunch of cutscenes here. And we unlock the Sepelia Valley. The reason why I was supposed to equip Harley with light is because the higher the level of your fairy, the bigger the range when you are trying to do this kind of stuff for sharpening effect is. So it's basically to avoid the thing that just happened to me where I had to take off all the fairies because I didn't place them correctly since the range was way too small. And yeah, this is the Sepelia Valley, the shortest one in the game, as you can see. And here we fight Paiga. Paiga is a very annoying boss because it deals a lot of damage, as you just saw. But he also has multiple nukes that he pulls off when he goes under certain HP thresholds, and you can't avoid it because he has way too much HP. So the whole idea here is to basically heal whoever gets hit, spam magic, and use energy crystals when needed. As you can see, he popped a cutscene, so he did a special attack, which luckily didn't kill Ethel. He's probably gonna do another cutscene here, yeah. Triggering a cutscene is great in this game, because the boss won't attack on that turn unless it gets 2 in a row. So it can be used to make the boss not have a single turn. On all the routes, that's how we will defeat the final boss of the game. We have a new strat though, I'll show off soon. We are going to the Sanctuary, we're gonna move Ethel to slope 4. I'm gonna move the slope 4 there. Because the next boss is not really dangerous per se, but it's just stupidly tanky. He has a lot of HP, and even when we are dealing twice the amount of damage, he still takes a lot of spells to land. Once again, same idea. We're gonna use knockbacks to get as many back attacks as possible for the added damage. This boss inflicts a debuff, which prevents you from going into Fair Ice form, which lowers your damage a bit because we invest on stat boosts when we are on Fairy form. But it's okay, as I mentioned, it will just make the fight be longer. It's not gonna get more dangerous or anything like that. Just make sure to not run out of healing items. And especially SP items. Because I had that happen on a practice run and it wasn't fun. This is an unwinnable boss fight, so I'm just gonna spam that. And now we unlock the final dungeon of the game, which is Stairway to Heaven. But before heading into the dungeon, we have to do some preparations first. So we're gonna max our high potions. We're gonna sell all of this stuff that we don't need. Sadly, I'm kinda bored, but I already have enough items. I'm going to buy a return wing, although I don't really need it, since I have Fang's skill, but just in case. And we are going to re-add our party members. And we're going to start with to heaven. I'll explain why I got a return wing there in a bit. But before that, we have one of the worst parts of the entire run, which is these jumps. Some of them are stupidly tight on New Game, and you don't have the item that makes you jump higher. Luckily we got them first try. And here we have a fight against Mariana. This fight is unwinnable, but we have to deal a certain amount of damage before we can proceed into the actual boss fight. So we're just going to spam skills. I'm gonna try to save a bit of SP with Pippin, Fang and Harley, because those three are the ones that we are going to use for the actual fight. Heal, because I don't want to get one-shotted at the start of the next fight. It's not really a fun way to get a game over. Pippin might die. He didn't. That's great. I'm gonna take my chances to basically kill both guards and get rid of them as soon as I can, because I don't want to have them alive. Because even when they don't deal that much damage, since their damage is boosted, I don't really want to try anything too risky. And she's gonna pull a super strong attack, which one-shotted Harley. It deals 7000 HP as usual. This fight is being a bit slow, but we finished the fight. So the reason why I bought the return wing is because there are no save points before the next boss. So if I die to the next boss, I'm gonna get teleported all the way back to the entrance of the dungeon, and I'm gonna have to fight Mariana again, which is something that I really don't want to do. So I'd rather take the 35 to 40 second time loss if I don't fall down here, of leaving the dungeon, healing myself, and coming back in, than fighting Mariana again. So luckily we got the jumps once again. We're going to remove these two from the party. Now put Pippin. We're gonna move Pippin here. And we're gonna give Ethel her fairy back, because she left the party. So when a party member leaves and then rejoins, their fairy is automatically unequipped. And the next fight is one of my most hated boss fights in this game, which is the second fight against Bernard, who is overall a pain, and it's the reason why I don't want to take my chances with him. So the fight against Bernard, if he gets not under half, but if he gets under like 60% HP, it will pull out a super AoE that will one-shot my entire party most likely if it hits. So that's something that I really want to avoid. So for now I'm going to do some damage by healing whoever gets hit. Build up tension with Pippin and Fang. Alright, that should be one more. Okay, that's good enough to try and get the kill later. As you can see, this guy loves his AoE attacks. They have get an AoE heal. Never mind. I'm gonna heal Fang and pray that he doesn't get killed. she didn't. Gonna Fair Ice. Heal. Fair Ice, heal. And same thing with Pippin. And now we are gonna go for it. So on the next turn he gets, he's going to pop up a cutscene. And hopefully we will be able to finish him off, which didn't happen, and one-shotted both Fang and Ethel, but luckily didn't hit Pippin, who was behind. So even when I messed up, I still survived the fight. We're gonna heal everyone and use a crystal on all three of them. So we are back to max HP and speed, and we are heading for the last two boss fights of the game. That looks a lot closer than I wanted it to be. Once again, save point, go into the event marker, and we have a fight against Sherman. This fight is extremely easy. His HP is very low as well, so as you can see, he lost over half of his HP bar in one turn. And now we're gonna do one last party member change. We're gonna remove Fang. Gonna swap Pippin for Harley. Gonna move Harley to slot 2 and Ethel to slot 3. And we're gonna give Tiara her fairy, which is Navy. Alright, so the first two fights against the Vile God are unwinnable. As you can see, we just got one-shot. And the second one is the same thing. However, since it's going to one-shot us, all of our characters will start with 1 HP on the next fight, which is the actual fight. But it doesn't matter because they still get one-shotted even if they have max HP. So the whole idea against this fight is basically have someone die, revive them, spam Maestro with Tiara, try to poison him using Harley. We don't have range, unfortunately. And basically, slowly drain his HP. We got a first try poison, which is kind of rare. That's basically the worst thing that he can do. He has 2 AoE moves. So I'm gonna revive from max range. Kind of avoid getting AoE. Revive, we triggered a cutscene, so it won't attack in this turn. Or it didn't attack on that turn. We're going to try and poison him again. This time we failed. He AoE'd again. This is starting to not look too good. That AoE almost hit Tiara. I got very scared there for a second, not gonna lie. We missed the poison once again. I used the wrong SP item. I'm gonna revive from max range. Use a crystal with everyone because everyone is basically low on SP. Harley keeps missing the poison, so this is getting kinda monk-ass. She doesn't. Okay. Right, free turn. So we're gonna go hard on this one. I think she missed the poison once again. Harley, please. I'm not asking you much. There we go. So time is coming pretty soon. And
yeah,
time.
Okay, there we are. Well done.
Thank you. That went a lot
You got
better
on
than
a
I
roll with the
expected.
commentary there, I reckon.
I tried to talk about most of the stuff I'm doing, but the game's too fast-paced for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered basically everything. So,
yeah,
that was, a really good run.
Thank you for the GGs, everyone. Make sure to stay tuned, because after the streamer change, we have a Rebirth to Holy Sword race. So yeah, that's all from me. Thanks for watching the run.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll jump over to the intermission screen and I will cut my own audio. So okay. We'll get some music going. So we're coming to the end of my restream shift, but we're gonna first do another set of giveaway draws for the Steam codes kindly donated by Idea Factory. So just like the last drawing, you need to be here to claim your code. If you're not here, then you'll get put back in the draw.